Life of a Traitor. You know, it's really funny. In a maximum security prison filled with murderers and rapists, the worst thing it can do to you is leave you completely alone. Solitary confinement. The human brain needs input, or it quickly descends into horrifying madness of its own company. In 2086, when the world government fell into a dictatorship, capital punishment became very common. However, it was solitary confinement that people feared. That was reserved just for treason. I spent my life making these solitary confinement cells and carrying out the confinement. Here's how it works. The cells are molded to exactly fit the condemned. They're human-shaped coffins, arms out to the side 30 degrees, legs 45 degrees apart. For the insertion process, the traitors are sedated. The eyes, ears, and mouth are not damaged, but are all sealed permanently shut. An automated breathing tube inserted through the throat, and 3 IV lines are inserted to feed nutrients. We use 3 lines in case of a mechanical failure on one, and catheters are inserted to handle waste. The condemned are sealed in and buried in the very public traitors' graveyard, with enough autonomous supplies to last 80 years, but to be considered dead from that day. It's nasty, right? Well, that's been my job for the last 20 years, and I'm pretty numb to the idea of it. 1 person a day enters the traitors' graveyard. This was so that the condemned person's story could be featured on the evening news, along with their frenzied begging for a pardon. It hasn't caused me distress in many years. That was until last week, when I was convicted of treason. I can't really argue. I'm guilty. But after seeing the things that I have seen, is it surprising that I turned to murder? This regime needs to be brought down. This barbaric practice of solitary confinement needs to end now. But it will take a better man than me to achieve that. Today I woke up from sedation. My eyes and mouth sealed shut. Deafening silence and dazzling blackness greet my panicked brain. Fight or flight response kicks in and I choose between 0 options. I can't move an inch. Even my fingers are molded in place. I just keep thinking about all those people I put down here, and all those things I wish I had done differently. I couldn't have been down here for more than a week, and I would choose death if I could. I would give anything to take back the treason I committed, the 7,000 people I killed. I only did it to save others from the untold suffering. I did it while they were sedated, a syringe of air into their veins to cause cardiac arrest. 1 murder each day for 20 years. It's just me alive down here, living the life of a traitor. Breaking Amy. Freddy wasn't your typical 13-year-old. He was an asshole. If he wasn't in his bedroom screaming at video games, he was scaring his 7-year-old sister. Every traumatizing prank that he pulled on little Amy would be worse than the last. Once he had even told her that their mother had been murdered, and he covered the entire kitchen floor with ketchup for maximum effect. He was the reason she was so unstable. She would often tell her mother that she heard whispers and had even seen ghosts wandering the house at night. Freddy would giggle at that, almost proud of the damage he had done. But unfortunately for Amy, it was never enough for him. He felt compelled to break her completely. The storm had kept Freddy awake that night. Restlessly, he tossed and turned in boredom. For a while, he tried to count sheep, but even that didn't help. In defeat, he laid mindlessly watching the raindrops slide down his window. Lightning flashed suddenly, illuminating his entire room. It was soon followed by a deafening boom. Freddy smiled. He knew what was then to come. Freddy heard his sister crying through the wall, closely followed by a faint pitter-patter as she ran to the mother's bedroom. This was it, his moment of fun. He crept down the hallway and into Amy's bedroom. He prowled around her room like a serial killer, studying every inch of it. Countless ideas rushed through his mind. Then he saw the closet. Freddy waited in the dark for what seemed like forever, peering through a small gap between the closet doors. He had decided that when his sister had returned and settled into bed, that he would begin to whisper. Then, once she was completely terrified, he would burst out and run at her, screaming at the top of his lungs. He had almost lost all hope and was about to leave when he heard the footsteps approaching. His mother opened the bedroom door and Amy slowly shuffled in. She was sucking her thumb and dragging her favorite blanket behind her. As she crawled into bed, Freddy couldn't help but to grin in excitement. Freddy watched in silence as their mother tucked Amy tightly into bed and planted a big kiss on her forehead, and finally said goodnight. He waited anxiously until he heard his mother's door close before beginning. That's it, he thought, shaking in delirium, the moment I break her. Amy, Freddy whispered hauntingly. She didn't respond. Amy, he continued. Still no response. I'm in the closet, Amy. Come play with me, he harshly croaked.
Not tonight, Lucy,
Amy calmly replied. Freddy frowned in confusion. She must be sleep-talking, he thought. Wake up, Amy. It's not... A hand reached out from behind him, and it pulled Freddy back into the darkness and clutched over his mouth with a cold, tight grip.
She said not tonight.
Opposed forces. It all started with the pool. One moment, New York was full of people hurrying to work and talking on their cell phones. And the next, all of the noise stopped. The streets were empty and everyone had just vanished into thin air. Without anyone to pilot them, airplanes fell from the sky and cars and trains and buses crashed. Fires started in the buildings and parks, and with the fire department unavailable and the nation in absolute confusion, they continued to burn through most of New York City. It'd take days to put them out. Of course, after that was taken care of, questions were asked. The government would launch an investigation into the event and attempt into finding the 19.49 million victims. Nothing ever became of it, though. The pool left no bodies, no evidence. Families mourned and speculation ran rampant on the news. Conspiracy theories were passed around, but eventually, the world started to move on. Then, the push, an opposing force, or maybe a complementary one. It doesn't really matter what it was. Body parts appeared out of nowhere. Heads were found throughout the Oregon wilderness, impaled in tree limbs and floating down streams. Toes and fingers were expelled through hollowed-out trunks and holes. Flowers bloomed, opening up to reveal human eyes. Questions were asked, sure, but nobody had any answers. MentalHealthFriend. MentalHealthFriend is your all-in-one mental health app. It's free for basic, $250 for premium, 4.8 stars, over 1 million downloads. Alright.
Do you accept the terms and conditions?
I guess.
MentalHealthFriend would like to access your contacts, location, NFC, messaging, camera, microphone, Samsung Galaxy Watch, Google Play services.
Alright.
If you are currently taking any medications, please enter them into the app. It's time to take venlafaxine 225 milligrams. Tip: fresh air and exercise are important. Go for a walk on your lunch break. Tip: Try to avoid looking at screens for an hour before bed. See how you did this week. You took venlafaxine 225 milligrams on time 71% of days this week. Well done. Did you self-harm at any point today?
No.
See how you did this week. You didn't self-harm this week. Well done.
Yay.
From your location data, it appears you're working late. Tip: overwork is a common cause of stress.
Yeah, no shit.
Tip: red wine contains antioxidants and relieves stress. Treat yourself, you've earned it. Did you self-harm at any point today?
Yeah.
See how you did this week. You self-harmed twice this week. Tip: cutting down the length of your wrist increases your risk of bleeding out. From your location data, you are in a liquor store. Tip: drinking 700 milliliters of spirits may cause potentially fatal alcohol poisoning.
Let's hope so.
Tip: work to live, not live to work. If you need a self-care day, don't be afraid to call in sick.
Yeah, that would be nice. But I need money.
Tip: work to live, not live to work. If you need a self-care day, don't be afraid to call in sick.
Alright, fuck it then. I guess I'm not going to work.
From your location data, you have not been to work for 3 weeks. Have you been let go?
Sure have.
Tip: unemployment is a major cause of stress and depression.
It's your fucking idea.
From your location data, you are on a bridge. Tip: a fall from this height will likely be fatal. You have just sent a text to Adam, dealer. Note that 30 milligrams of pure heroin will likely cause fatal cardiac arrest.
We'll see.
You have received several texts from Mom. Tell her everything's fine and you've just been busy with work?
Yeah.
The 6th of June 2019, 11:41 p.m. According to Samsung Galaxy Watch, your heart rate is approaching 0 BPM. As stated in the terms and conditions, the app will now automatically purchase the premium version and post a 5-star review, then uninstall. Thank you for using MentalHealthFriend.
That concludes this week's session at the Nightmare Lab. If you enjoyed this episode, click the like button and comment below. If you have your own twisted tale that you'd like narrated on our channel, submit it through the form in the description. Become a part of our sinister collective by subscribing. Be here next week for another concoction to feed the nightmare.